Welcome to History in Flames. Empires rise and fall, the past comes alive in fire and ash. Subscribe and relive the stories that shaped the world. July 1943. The world held its breath. Across the rolling plains of Russia, two armies gathered, each determined to deliver the decisive blow. More than 6,000 tanks, 4,000 aircraft, and 2 million soldiers would soon clash in a battle unlike any the world had ever seen. The Battle of Kursk would not only decide the fate of the Eastern Front, it would decide the fate of World War II, just months before. The German Sixth Army had been destroyed at Stalingrad. 300,000 men marched into the city, fewer than 100,000 ever returned. For the first time, Hitler's armies had suffered a catastrophe. Morale faltered, and the Allies began to believe victory was possible. But Hitler was not ready to admit defeat. Instead, he planned to regain the initiative with one final great offensive. Operation Citadel. The target, the Kursk salient, a huge bulge in the Soviet front lines, 150 miles wide and 100 miles deep. If the Germans could cut it off, they might destroy an entire Soviet army group. Operation Citadel was a gamble. It required enormous resources. Hitler delayed the attack several times, waiting for new weapons. The Tiger I tank, with nearly impenetrable armor and the deadly 88mm gun. The brand new Panther, designed to counter the Soviet T-34. The massive Ferdinand tank destroyer, a mechanical monster with immense firepower. Hitler believed these weapons could turn the tide. He told his generals, "The outcome of this battle will mean victory or defeat." But every delay gave the Soviets more time to prepare. Stalin and his commanders, Zhukov and Rokossovsky, knew the Germans were coming. Soviet intelligence and even British spies confirmed the location and timing of the attack. The Soviets built one of the most formidable defensive systems in history. 3,000 miles of trenches, 400,000 mines planted across the fields, thousands of bunkers, artillery positions, and anti-tank traps. Behind these defenses stood massive reserves, entire tank armies ready to counterattack once the Germans were exhausted. It was not just defense. It was a trap. At dawn on July 5, 1943, the earth shook with German artillery. Operation Citadel had begun. In the north, General Model's 9th Army slammed into Soviet lines, but progress was slow. Mines crippled tanks. Anti-tank guns tore through the German spearheads. In the south, General Hoth's 4th Panzer Army advanced more effectively. Elite SS divisions, Leibstandarte, Das Reich, and Totenkopf pushed forward, supported by hundreds of Tigers and Panthers. The fighting was savage. Villages were destroyed in hours. Entire fields became graveyards of burning tanks. Above, the skies roared. The Luftwaffe launched thousands of sorties, determined to clear the skies and pound Soviet defenses. But the Red Air Force, once weak, was now formidable. Yak and Laffy fighters dueled Messerschmitts and Focke-Wulfs. Soviet Ilta-Sturmovik, nicknamed the Flying Tank, strafed German armor relentlessly. The air war was no longer one-sided. The Soviets were holding their own. Then came July 12th, Prokhorovka. The 2nd SS Panzer Corps advanced toward the small town, only to be met by the Soviet 5th Guards tank army. Nearly 1,000 tanks clashed in a maelstrom of steel. The battlefield became chaos. Soviet T-34s charged at full speed, ramming German Tigers to knock out their tracks. Tank guns fired at point-blank range. Dust and smoke blinded crews. Men fought in burning wrecks, refusing to surrender. The Soviets lost hundreds of tanks, but the German advance was stopped. Prokhorovka became a symbol of Soviet resilience. By mid-July, Hitler called off the offensive. He blamed the Allied invasion of Sicily for forcing him to shift attention west. But the truth was simpler. Germany had failed. They lost over 50,000 men, nearly 1,000 tanks, and hundreds of aircraft. These losses could not be replaced. The Soviets, though battered, still had reserves. Within days, they counterattacked, driving the Germans back. From Kursk onward, the Red Army would never again surrender the initiative. The Battle of Kursk was the largest tank battle in history, a clash of giants that sealed Germany's fate. For Germany, Kursk meant the end of offensive power in the east. For the Soviets, it was the beginning of their unstoppable march west. From Kursk, The Red Army pushed across Ukraine, into Poland, and finally to Berlin. The roar of 6,000 tanks in July 1943 echoed across history as the moment. When the tide of war turned for good, the fields of Kursk were soaked in steel, fire, and blood. But here's the question. What if the Germans had won? Could the Tiger and Panther have forced Stalin into retreat, maybe even peace? History tells us one story, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more. Share your thoughts below.